Welcome back, it's Nine, and today we have some more PlayStation 5 news to talk about. We're going to talk about this new, very powerful compression technique known as Oodle Kraken and Oodle Textures. We're going to go deep into that, and we're also going to be talking about Final Fantasy 16 and how it's not that far away because it's been in development for so long. And lastly, I want to go over a poll, and I think I'm going to throw one of these in every now and again going forward that I put out today, and we're going to talk about what your guys' favorite PlayStation console is of all time so far, not including the PlayStation 5, of course, because it's not out on the market yet. Now, before we get into that, if you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified about all my upcoming videos, and hit the like button. It helps the channel a ton. Now, let's get right into this article that comes from PSU.com. This article is titled PS5 to benefit from new compression tech. SSD could hit 2-to-1 compression and 15 gigabytes per second speeds. Rad Game Tools has outlined a series of new compression techniques known as Oodle Kraken and Oodle Textures, which Sony has licensed for use in all PS5, PS4 games. Sony originally and low-end expectations of 8 to 9 gigabytes per second speeds based on 1.5 to 1 compression, but this new technology allows the company to hit a 2 to 1 compression most of the time, as well as achieving 15 gigabytes per second and as high as 3 to 1 compression ratio for the SSD. The Sony PS5 will have the fastest data loading ever available in a mass market consumer device, and we think it may be even better than you have previously heard. What makes that possible is a fast SSD and excellent I/O stack that is fully independent of the CPU and the Kraken hardware decoder. Now, basically, there is a lot of technical information here, and I'm going to take a snippet out of it. I mean, it's a very long article. I'll have it in the description for you guys to take a look at, but if we're just going to go over a key point here, it says Kraken compression acts as a multiplier for the I/O speed and disk capacity, storing more games and loading faster in proportion to the compression ratio. Sony has previously published that the SSD is capable of 5.5 gigabytes per second and expected decompressed bandwidth around 8 to 9 gigabytes per second based on measurements of average compression ratios of games around 1.5 to 1. While Kraken is an excellent generic compressor, it struggled to find usable patterns on a crucial type of content, GPU textures, which make up a large fraction of game content. Since then, we've made huge progress on improving the compression ratio of GPU textures with Oodle Texture, which encodes them such as the subsequent Kraken compression can find patterns it can exploit. The result is that we expect the average compression ratio of games to be much better in the future, closer to 2 to 1. Now, my knowledge of this is pretty limited, so I'm not going to act like Digital Foundry over here, but from what I gather, it's going to create faster speeds. It's going to give you more disk capacity because it's compressing it down to a 2 to 1 ratio, which is huge. That's enormous. That's cutting the size of something in half, and it'll be able to access all of that at once. So it's accessing it faster, and it's also allowing you to compress more than ever. Now, there might be some more details in there that I'm missing, but if you are somebody who is very tech savvy and would like to enlighten us in the comments, please feel free to do so. I love learning from you guys that have a greater knowledge of this, and I'm sure we're going to get a proper breakdown from game developers and people who are in the know of how all these systems work, and as soon as that happens, we'll talk about it again over here, obviously more briefly, as their videos tend to be like 30 minutes long of them talking about how the technologies work. Now on to our next topic, and this comes from PSU.com, and it's titled Final Fantasy 16 has been in development for at least 4 years. Will release sooner than people expect. A new report from Jason Schreier on the latest Triple Click podcast suggests that Final Fantasy 16 has been in development for at least 4 years in some capacity, and that it is further along than people expect. Now, if you're not familiar with Jason Schreier, he has a lot of knowledge in the games industry. He knows what's going on behind the scenes because he has a lot of connections. He used to write for Kotaku. I think he writes for Bloomberg now. Could be mistaken. But yeah, I think that this could be possible. I think that there's no reason not to believe Jason Schreier. He's had a lot of knowledge in the past about what's going on in the games industry, whether it be about Final Fantasy games, whether it be about games that are not related to Final Fantasy, and they've come to light, and he has a track record that has been proven before. So I believe that the game has been in development for a while, but I mean, I don't need him to tell me that because, number one, if you see the trailer, guys, it was quite a long trailer, and also they showed a lot of gameplay, they showed cutscenes. This game is certainly far along. I think there's no doubt about that, so I wouldn't be surprised if it came out in 2022. I think 2021 is too early. I definitely don't see that being the case. We got a lot happening in 2020 and 2021. We have a next generation console dropping. We have a bunch of launch titles, and we also have a nice list of games that are coming out in 2021. So 2022 would be perfect, and I think it would be a good time for another Final Fantasy game, as we just got Final Fantasy VII Remake in 2020. So it's due time. I think that would be the year for it. Hopefully earlier in the year, because I think later in 2022 would make me worry about when we're going to see Remake Part 2, which I believe is 2023. But that's a topic for another day. I am curious to see what happens with this. But on to our next topic and our last topic, which is in regards to the poll that I put out today. It's been out for 7 hours. And I asked you guys, what is your favorite PlayStation console? Now, here's the thing. We know this is a hard decision to make. A lot of people want, to have multiple options and say, oh, well, I like PlayStation 2 and 4 or whatever. I need to make this difficult. It needs to be a hard decision. If I put an easy decision in there, it's going to win by a landslide, which surprisingly, this was not really up for debate, apparently. Apparently, it was very clear what you guys think. So I got more than 1,000 votes on this. This was posted 7 hours ago. The options were PlayStation 1 through to 4. Obviously, 5 isn't on there. I did see some comments about PS5. Guys, we don't have it in our hands. How can we say that's our favorite PlayStation console when we haven't even used it? Although you're entitled to your opinion, you're allowed to say it. It's not going to be an option up there. So 5% of you said PlayStation 1, which it is my favorite console. Final Fantasy VII, Metal Gear Solid, Siphon Filter, Resident Evil. Guys, come on. Legend of Dragoon. I'm so shocked. 5%? Damn, I thought for sure it would be higher than that. PlayStation 2, 23%. Totally understandable. It is the most sold PlayStation console, and it had a ton of good games too. Metal Gear Solid 2. Final Fantasy X. Damn, this sounds like my PlayStation 1 list. But anyway, my point is there's a lot of games on there. All sorts of Grand Theft Auto games. It was an amazing experience to play on the PlayStation 2. And of course, we had online for the first time with the PlayStation brand. So it is a huge time for the PlayStation brand when it came to PlayStation 2. Completely understandable that 23%. Now, PlayStation 3 sits at 8%. I'm still surprised this was greater than the PlayStation 1. I can't understand why, but I guess maybe most of you that watch me didn't really play the PlayStation 1. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you've played the PlayStation 1 when it was recently released, not now. Last option was PlayStation 4, of course, and this won by a landslide. You guys said the PlayStation 4 is your favorite console, and man, 65. I'm still shook. I can't believe 65%. I thought it would be, between the PS2 and PS4 at least, but apparently no. Apparently, this was pretty much a one-sided poll, but interesting to see. I'm going to take 2 quick comments from the top, the most liked comments that I could see on here. And Courage the Cowardly Dog says 2 without a doubt for me: GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, Shadow of Colossus, Ratchet, Jack and Daxter, Sly Cooper, just to name a few. And you're absolutely right. There was a ridiculous amount of big hitters on the PS2. So I completely agree with you. That was an incredible console. And Not a Simp says probably most of the votes haven't even owned PS3 or older. And you know what? That's very plausible. I mean, PS1 was, damn, that was a long time. I think it was 93 when the PS1 came out. So that was a long time ago. I mean, not everybody was gaming that watches this channel, of course. I find my demographic is between the age of 20 and 30. Majority fall in between 20 and 25. So it makes sense that a lot of them didn't get a chance to play with the PS1, maybe even PS2 in some cases. But yeah, PS3, PS4, I could totally see a lot of people who watch these videos playing on those consoles. But anyway, I'm going to pass this on to you guys, and I'm going to ask you, number one, what do you think of this Kraken compression technique? Do you think that this is going to be a huge deal? Can you see Sony utilizing this to make their games look even better than they already do, allowing us to have more storage, allowing for more speed than we're already expecting with the PlayStation 5? And lastly, what do you think of this Final Fantasy 16 report based on what Jason Schreier said basically that the game's been in development for 4 years. Do you believe that that's the case? And do you expect this game to be out 2022? Or do you expect it earlier or later? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell to get notified about all my upcoming videos. Hit the like button. It helps the channel a ton. Follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description. And lastly, share this video with a friend. I will talk to you guys on the next one. Take care.